Hi, I'm Mara Barker and I play bass with the Winston-Salem Symphony. In addition to playing music, one of my passions is reading. I'm going to share with you today 5 books that every music lover should read. The first book is Bach, Beethoven, and the Boys, Music History as It Ought to Be Taught, by David W. Barber, illustrated by Dave Donald. Bach, Beethoven, and the Boys reveals the strange, crazy, and comical habits, tidbits of family life, and quirks of many famous composers. Did Mozart really propose to Marie Antoinette at age 7? Did Beethoven really saw the legs off of his piano so he could feel the vibrations in the floor? Did Tchaikovsky really hold his head up while he composed because he thought it would fall off? Read the book and find out. The next book is Strings Attached, One Tough Teacher and the Art of Perfection by Joanne Littman and Melanie Kupczynski. This book tells the story of teacher Jerry Kupczynski, or Mr. K, as he was affectionately known by his students, told from alternating viewpoints of 2 of his students, his daughter Melanie, who currently plays violin with the Chicago Symphony, and journalist Joanne Littman, who studied cello with him as a child. Musicians will relate to the story of the unique relationship between private teacher and student, but you don't have to be a musician to enjoy this book. There are many layers to the story. Mr. K's rough childhood, growing up in the Ukraine during the Russian and German invasions, his hardship as an adult caring for a bedridden wife, and searching for his daughter who disappeared for 7 years, and how he inspired his students, sometimes by making them practice until their fingers bled, yelling and hurling insults like, "Cellos sound like hippopotamus rising from mud at bottom of river," and "Who is deaf in first violins?" And sometimes through words of wisdom like, "You can't teach children an instrument and then hide them in a hole." When he retired, it was quite amazing the number of students who returned to pay him tribute in person and to say thanks. Despite being a tougher-than-tough teacher, his students felt the love and understood that Mr. K believed in them. You don't have to be a 20th century music fan to enjoy this book by award-winning author and music critic Alex Ross. It's more the history of the 20th century through its music. This very readable, very informative book talks about musical innovations, gives an overview of important composers, musicians, and how classical music influenced music of other genres. The next book is It's Our Music Too, The Black Experience in Classical Music by Earl O'Farry Hutchinson. Did you know that Beethoven, Mozart, Verdi, Ravel, Stravinsky, and many other classical music greats were influenced by Black composers, musical themes, and artists? Media critic, social issues commentator, and host of the radio show The Hutchinson Report, Earl O'Farry Hutchinson tells the story of how Black people have actually influenced the development, history, and structure of classical music in its major varied forms: opera, chamber pieces, symphonies, and concertos. It's a story that's filled with tragedy and triumph, heartbreak and heroism. The last book is The Inextinguishable Symphony by Martin Goldsmith. You may recognize the name Martin Goldsmith from NPR's Performance Today or Sirius XM's Symphony Hall channel, where he's currently a radio host. His book recounts his parents' love story as 2 young Jewish musicians in Nazi Germany who were performers in an all-Jewish musical organization made up of musicians who had been fired from their regular orchestras. He got the title of the book from Carl Nielsen's 4th Symphony, The Inextinguishable. Goldsmith writes, Nielsen wrote his 4th Symphony in the midst of the First World War, and he was just devastated by all of the destruction he saw around him. Yet he was buoyed up by his essential optimism and wrote at the head of the score, "Music is life, and like life, inextinguishable." It seemed to me to be the perfect metaphor for the organization that is at the center of this book. And there you have it, 5 books that every music lover should read. This is by no means a top 5 list, but simply 5 books that I've enjoyed, and I hope you do too. If you have other favorites, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Happy reading, and I look forward to seeing you again soon in the concert hall.